Hi, I'm A.C.Strange and this is The Bad Movie Show, Episode 5, The Blacks in Horror Movie Show. I know what you're thinking, what does this crazy half-a-white girl know about blacks in horror movies? Actually, quite a bit. When I first decided that horror was what I wanted to do with my artistic life, I started watching as many horror movies as I possibly could, and I realized that there are not enough black horror movies. Plenty of movies with black characters who die right away from being in the wrong place at the wrong time, but not enough black horror movies. I think this is because there's not enough black horror writers or directors. Plenty of actors, but not enough writers. So if you feel the way that I feel, I say there's only one thing to do. Grab a pen, grab your computer, grab a camera, do something about it. I'd love to see it. You know I'm talking to you. So for tonight's show, I have 3 movies where the characters do not die. Alright? I broke it up too. I have a killer, a survivor, and a hero. So, yay! Let's get started. First up, Garbage Man. From 2009, American Horrors, written and directed by Hart D. Fisher. Now this movie takes place in the early 90s, and this is about Tom, who's a garbage man with problems. Girl, he got some problems. Anyway, he hears the worst and most evil, horrible voices all the time. And they make him do really bad things. And if I had to hear those voices, I would beat people hanging from a chain in my closet too. Just terrible voices. And in this movie there's a lot of what I call psychotic landscaping, which is basically him sitting around smoking cigarettes, hearing these horrible voices, and we get to see flashes of things that he did to people. And that's basically it. That's all this movie is. It reminds me a little bit of Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer, but it's not as good. So I'm going to give this a 2, and I would probably never see it again. But if you're a writer and you want to do something like this, I would suggest see it to see how not to do a horror movie. So there you go. 2 for that one. Next up, my survivor movie, Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, unrated, from New Line Cinema, 1990. Written by David Shaw and directed by Jeff Burr, and based on characters by Kim Henkel and Toby Hooper. Now this stars Ken Foree, who's a horror movie icon, by the way, Viggo Mortensen and Kate Hodge, and Leatherface is played by R.A. Mihailoff. Is that right? And this is about Michelle and her boyfriend take a road trip to Florida, and going through Texas, they drive through a mass grave of about 40 or 50 decaying bodies in a pit. And they get past there, they get to a gas station where the gas station attendant is like batshit crazy. And they also meet a hitchhiker who kind of lets them in on a little shortcut to the interstate. And then the gas station guy goes crazy. They're jump in the car and escape from them and take the shortcut. And then escaping from the gas station guy, they find that they're being chased by a beat up truck and a guy with a chainsaw, Leatherface. And getting away from them, they crash into Benny, played by Ken Foree, and he is a survivalist or a weekend warrior, and he tries to help them, but then finds that he's in as much trouble as they are. Leatherface in this movie is accompanied by 2 brothers, his mother, and a little sister who is the creepiest one out of all of them. For real. And the best part, my favorite part of this movie, is the fight scene between Benny and Leatherface in this pond with like heads and body parts, and they're fighting, and there's a frickin' chainsaw. It's awesome. I'd give this a 3.5. and a buy it rating. And if you're a horrorphile or a Leatherface fanatic, you should already have this. So I also think that this is cool because Leatherface in this one is a badass. In the other Texas Chainsaw Massacres, like, he's scary when he's chasing everybody, but when he's at home, he's treated like a moron. He's like a little kid. In this one, he's a bit of a badass. He's not like that. He doesn't take that shit. So I like this one. It's not my favorite one, but I like this one. So 3.5, and buy it, or you should already own it. Okay, last but not least, my oldie but goodie, my hero movie, The People Under the Stairs. Universal Pictures, 1991, rated R, written and directed by Wes Craven. Starring Brandon Adams, Everett McGill, Wendy Roby, Kelly Jo Minter, who's been in a bunch of horror movies, and Ving Rhames before Pulp Fiction. So this is about a boy named Fool who lives in the worst building on the worst block in the ghetto. And he and his family are about to be evicted if they don't come up with 3 times the rent by a certain time. And Fool's sister's boyfriend, Leroy, talks Fool into robbing his landlord's house. And Fool goes along with it, and when they get into the house, they're in for a lot more than they expected. And in the house live Mommy and Daddy, these 2 very sadistic, evil people who actually keep people under the stairs. So this movie is really awesome. It's one of my favorite movies, and probably one of the reasons why I write horror. I think this is great, and I give it a 5, and I can recite it. So put this on your list if you haven't seen it, and I know most of you who have seen it own it. So this is a really great movie, so check it out. That's it for me tonight. Thank you very much for watching, and if you know of any really good horror movies with black characters in it worth seeing, please let me know. And as always, watch more movies. This is A.C.Strange, and this is the Bad Movie Show. Thanks. Good night.